takes pictures of your
It's
feet.
Heritage Village.
Now, the last
Old
time you went
house.
to the doctor, you saw an
Doctor's
examining
office.
table. Very closely
A little
resembles
leather.
what you see here today. The stirrups now slide back in, the sides are hidden, but per se, this one's even better than the ones that they use today. Back in the early days, he had nobody to help him. He would go to the waiting room if someone was out there to come in and help him. If there was and they refused to come in, he'd say he'd make them leave. He wouldn't see them. Hospitals and the operating rooms, if they needed help, they would go out into the wards and the people who were staying in a hospital and make them come in to help. If they refused, they expelled them from the hospital. You couldn't stay. But if in here he could operate on this side or this side because the drawers opened on both sides. They went from one side to the other. So he didn't waste any time moving around. Now if you had an abscessed tooth or a boil that needed glands, he would take this little instrument here and fill it with gauze. He would pour ether or chloroform in there, and then he would wave that over top of your head. Never touching you, just wave it over until you were in La La Land.
Wow.
And if you came to before he got finished, he could always give you just a tad more to keep you under. Gas came to us in the late 1920s in the form of a mask they put over your eye and turn the thing on, and they tell you to breathe deep in about 3 whiffs and you were gone. We had a cuff for take blood pressure and scales to weigh on. And then we'll go into the kitchen, which is Jesse's kitchen. We turned it into a laboratory. Cool. Come on in. Get up close and personal. Louis Pasteur spent his whole entire life trying to perfect and control disease and infection. The only way that they had in the early days to sterilize instruments was by a Bunsen burner, which they would fill with water, get the heat under here, boil the water, and try to sterilize their equipment. If he took a biopsy out there, he could bring it in and put it under a microscope, check out the problem that you might have, and note it in the book or read about the same thing in the book. Dr. Woodard in early 1800s perfected a microscope. Dr. Spencer built the first one in the United States in 1813. That's his picture there. Now we have a hemoglobin machine to analyze your blood with. EKG machine to analyze your heart with. And didn't you say you had a little stiffness in the shoulder? Well, somebody in here that said that. Somebody had, maybe it was a group ahead of me, but they had a machine for that too. If you had a little pain and ache, you say, Doc, it's persistent. I've had it for about 3 weeks, can't get rid of it, it's painful. Can you take care of it? He said, I think so, I can do that. So he would take his little violet ray machine and he would plug it in. Right off, you can hear it. You can see the little purple aura on here. Now, I used to massage on very, I can't quite touch you. You feel just a stab of electric shock.
Ah, okay.
Very, very slow, light tingle, but you knew. You could hear it, you could see it,
Okay.
you could feel it. You knew I'm getting something to help me with my problem.